Finn and Steffi make up in Forrester's office before inevitably addressing Taylor's feelings for Deacon. Taylor and Deacon are kissing in Taylor's office as well. Over in the design office, RJ is also thinking about making out as he flashes back to his kiss with Elektra. Daphne enters and they catch up. She inquires as to whether he has any special interest in somebody. Elektra is at the showroom with Will's fan club, who are looking to see if the couple has split up. Elektra admits that they have. Jamie and Kingsley pretend to be upset on Elektra's behalf, but exchange knowing looks. When they inquire about what happened, Ivy walks in and chases the other two away before chastising Elektra. The younger woman cries, "I can't help it. I miss Will." As Elektra says her heart is destroyed, Ivy, far from being sympathetic, starts to lecture her on spending energy yearning over Will, who, she points out, still has Dylan on the premises. Lying, Ivy informs her that will return her necklace. This is not appropriate at all. Taylor stops Deacon from mauling her and reminds him that the stakes are too high, including their life. They discuss Steffi's ultimatum and the threat Sheila poses. Deacon claims he gave Sheila what she wanted, but all he could think about was Taylor. She begs him to stop. In the design office, Daphne teases RJ about all the young women swooning over him. She describes Will and Elektra, and he snarls that the guy is a total jerk, claiming that he chose Elektra's friend over her. Daphne claims he was helping Dylan, but RJ counters that he could have hired her a hotel room. As RJ rants about Will's inability to break up with Elektra in person after she left him a letter, Daphne reflects, if only Elektra's letter had gotten through to him. Enter Ivy, who creepily rubs RJ's arm and comments on him working out. When he leaves, Ivy warns Daphne not to intervene. "Stay out of my niece's life." Daphne snaps, "Like you have, Ivy?" In the main office, Will interrupts Steffi and Finn. The doctor leaves, and Will hands the brunette his letter of resignation. Despite his want to stay, he must depart for Elektra. Steffi wishes he will stay. He is doing a wonderful job there. Will acknowledges that he takes satisfaction in doing his own thing at Forrester, but does not want to make things unpleasant for Elektra. The conversation briefly turns to Dylan before Steffi warns Wood that she would not let him leave. Will is relieved. Will and Elektra finally meet face-to-face in the showroom. She is still confused about what happened and why he made certain decisions. He snarks, "So did you." When he explains that he came in intending to quit but Steffi persuaded him to stay, she says she agrees. In Taylor's office, she and Deacon argue and squabble until Steffi knocks, walks in, and freaks out. "Deacon, you cannot be here. You'll never see my mom again." Is this understood? In the design office, Daphne asks Ivy, "How could you?" Will and Elektra are in love. Ivy urges her to mind her own business. Daphne blames her of orchestrating their entire breakup. Ivy claims that Will slept with someone the night before her niece gave herself to him. She refers to the rape. Daphne claims that this is cruel and deceptive. Ivy's actions are wrong, and Daphne is confident that she understands this. Ivy mentions that Will is currently living with another woman. She would stop at nothing to keep Wood away from Elektra. In the showroom, Will is willing to forgive and forget. She confirms her love for him, and he wants to get their lives back on track. He adores her and longs to see her again. They kiss. The tension in the Forrester family had been growing for weeks, like a storm cloud lingering over Los Angeles that refused to clear. Steffi Forrester Finnegan had made it clear that her mother, Taylor Hayes, could never pursue a love relationship with Deacon Sharp. The very thought sent shivers down Steffi's spine, not just because Deacon was still legally married to Sheila Carter, the woman who had terrorized their family for years, but also because the danger felt personal and visceral. Steffi had grandkids, Hayes and Kelly, whose innocent lives may be devastated if Sheila's jealousy flared up again. She'd already lost too much due to that woman's instability, and she refused to let history repeat itself. Taylor had attempted to listen. She had even sought to distance herself, telling Deacon in hushed tones at Il Giardino that they should stop seeing each other because it was too risky. However, The heart does not often follow logic, especially when two individuals who had spent so much time talking about their anguish and vulnerability suddenly found themselves staring into each other's eyes, and understanding the connection was deeper than therapy sessions or polite counsel. Deacon had professed his feelings at a busy restaurant, the words coming out like if they had been waiting forever. Taylor had admitted the same thing, their hands brushing, the air dense with unspoken promises. They had almost kissed right there, despite the warnings of their children, Ridge, and everyone else who thought they knew better. But passion has a way of overcoming prudence. Deacon had attempted to recommit to Sheila, going through the motions and even putting her to bed as his thoughts drifted to Taylor's face, voice, and touch. It was a betrayal in itself, but one motivated by desperation. Sheila, clueless or possibly purposely blind, had thanked Taylor for helping her marriage, encircling the psychiatrist with strange demands for assistance on reigniting the spark. Taylor had, of course, refused to stand down from any professional position, but the irony stings. Here she was, the one Deacon genuinely desired, being asked to repair what she was silently ruining. In the days leading up to the moment everything exploded, the Forrester Creations offices were filled with the typical frenzy of designs, meetings, and family conflict. Steffi plunged herself into work, yelling instructions, going over lines, anything to take her mind off her mother's nagging worry. Hope Logan, the eternal optimist when it came to love, had clashed with her several times, defending Deacon and Taylor's right to happiness as adults. "They're not children, Steffi," Hope had stated during a heated discussion. "They deserve to choose who makes them feel alive." Steffi had responded that decisions had repercussions, especially when they involved a woman capable of murder. The debates left both women tired, but neither gave up. Meanwhile, across town at Il Giardino, Deacon was dealing with his own struggle. His son Deke and daughter Hope continued pulling him towards Taylor, saying he looked happier than he has in years. But Deacon was aware of the tightrope he was walking. Sheila's possessiveness was legendary, and her grip on his tightened even as he moved away. He had secretly dreamed about Taylor during intimate moments with his wife, causing him to feel guilty. But he couldn't stay away. One afternoon, he sneaked into Taylor's office at Forrester Creations, the door closing behind him like a definitive choice. They discussed the hazards, the consequences, and the unthinkable future at first, as they usually did. But words gave way to tentative touches, which became urgent. Taylor's hands sought Deacon's face, bringing him closer, and for a brief instant, the world became smaller than it was before. Clothes relaxed, respiration increased, and the desk transformed into an unplanned shelter for what they had denied for too long. They gave in to the draw, their bodies pressing together in a surge of need that had been building since their first true connection. It wasn't just physical, it was a release of everything they'd suppressed, loneliness, fear, and an undeniable chemistry that made everything else fade. The door swung open without warning. Steffi was transfixed at the threshold, her eyes widening as the picture became clear. Her mother, half undressed, interacted with Deacon Sharp in a way that left no room for misunderstanding. The air appeared to suck out of the room. Taylor gasped and scrambled to hide herself as Deacon moved in front of her, automatically protecting her. But Steffi wasn't just shocked. She was furious, betrayed, and filled with a mother's fear and a daughter's anguish. "What the hell is this?" Steffi's voice sounded like thunder. She walked inside, slamming the door hard enough to rattle the frames. "I told you, Mom. I told you to stay away from him. And you," she turned to Deacon, her eyes blazing. "You promised you'd keep your distance. You both lied to my face." Taylor reached out, her voice shaking. "Steffi, please let me explain." "Explain?" Steffi laughed angrily, her tone rough. "There's nothing to explain. I walk in and see my mother screwing around with Sheila Carter's husband. The same Sheila who shot me, who kidnapped me, who nearly destroyed our family over and over. And you're choosing him over us? Over your grandchildren?" Deacon attempted to speak, his voice quiet but firm. "Steffi, this is not about hurting you. Taylor and we care deeply about each other." Steffi rounded on him. "You don't get to speak. You're married. To a psychopath. And now you've dragged my mother into this mess. Do you have any idea what Sheila will do when she finds out? Because she will. She always does. Taylor's eyes were watering. I never wanted to hurt you, sweetheart. I try to stop this. But I love him. I really do. The tone was heavy. Steffi looked at her mother as if, for the first time. Love? This is love? Sneaking around? Risking everything? You sound like Brooke.
No, worse.
At least Brooke owns her messes. You're hiding behind love like it's an excuse. The fight heated up, with voices raising and accusations flying. Steffi restated her ultimatum, end it immediately or lose access to Hayes and Kelly. She couldn't risk Sheila threatening the children. Taylor implored Steffi to understand, but she was done listening. She stormed off, leaving Taylor and Deacon in stunned quiet, the heat of the moment replaced by chilly dread. The consequences spread almost immediately. Steffi confided in Finn, and her husband provided quiet support while she digested the betrayal. She reaffirmed her attitude, promising to protect her family at any costs. Word spread rapidly in the close-knit world of Forrester Creations and Il Giardino. When Hope heard, she raced to defend her father, but even she was shaken by Steffi's reaction. Ridge, already suspicious, faced Taylor again, his displeasure evident. But the drama did not end there. In another part of the Forrester empire, a comparable storm raged. Daphne Rose had been closely monitoring Ivy Forrester, her suspicions building with each passing day. Ivy had meddled with Electra's burgeoning romance with Will Spencer, intercepting a letter intended for him and manipulating narratives to build a gap between the two young people. Daphne had witnessed Ivy sneak the letter into her handbag and confronted her in the design office with strong words. You're manipulating her life, Daphne had said, her voice quiet but angry. Electra deserves the truth, not your version of it. Ivy had deflected, labeling Will a playboy and claimed he had slept with someone else the night before Electra gave herself to him. But Daphne was not buying the justifications. She observed Ivy's power, how she positioned herself as the guardian while destroying the relationship. Daphne pressed harder, demanding that Ivy come honest or face the consequences. Ivy warned her to keep out of it, but Daphne's conscience wouldn't let her. As Steffi's argument with Taylor and Deacon unfolded, Daphne realized she couldn't wait any longer. She took Ivy aside again, this time in a quieter hallway away from inquisitive ears. This ends now, Daphne remarked. You're not protecting Electra, you're controlling her. And if you don't tell her what you did with that letter, I will. Ivy's expression widened. You have no proof. I have my eyes, Daphne responded. And I have a conscience, which you appear to have lost. The charge lingered between them, piercing and unwavering. Ivy attempted to turn the situation around, hurling barbs at Daphne's motives and wondering why she cared so much about a relationship that was not her own. But Daphne remained firm, her voice unwavering. Because Electra is family. And family doesn't sabotage each other like this. You're crossing lines, Ivy. Big ones. The two women stared each other down, the air sizzling with unresolved tension. Daphne moved away, already contemplating her next move, perhaps confiding in Steffi or RJ, who could assist reveal the truth without causing further upheaval. Ivy, left alone, felt the walls close in, her carefully crafted facade breaking beneath the weight of her actions. Back at Taylor's office, the repercussions lingered as smoke. Taylor sat on the edge of the desk, tears running over her cheeks, while Deacon paces. We knew this could happen, he remarked calmly, but I don't regret us. Taylor looked up, perplexed. I do. Not you, not what we feel. But the pain I'm causing my daughter, it's unbearable. They chatted for hours, evaluating possibilities, but the damage was already done. Steffi had drawn a line in the sand, and crossing it meant losing part of her family. Deacon had an unavoidable encounter with Sheila, whose intuition might have picked up on the shift in his feelings. The secret affair, once exhilarating in its forbidden nature, now felt like a ticking time bomb. Other people's lives were interwoven in various ways across the city. Will and Electra exchanged a cautious kiss, ignorant of the manipulations unfolding around them. RJ provided discreet support for individuals caught in the crossfire. Katie Logan pursued her own goals, launching a new line while juggling family responsibilities. But the fundamental drama pulsed from that one moment, Steffi walking in, seeing the unfathomable, and unleashing a cascade of consequences that would affect every aspect of their lives. The days passed in a whirl of confrontations, whispered apologies, and uncompromising stands. Steffi put herself into safeguarding her children, restricting Taylor's visits, each one a dagger to her mother's heart. Taylor struggled with guilt, thinking whether love was worth the cost. DEacon attempted to protect them both, but his own marriage failed under the strain. Daphne's claims against Ivy gathered traction, forcing the elder lady to confront her overprotectiveness and possibly even envy. Finally, the dramatic paragraph blossomed into a tapestry of human frailty, love clashing with devotion, protection twisting into domination, desire sparking devastation. No one came out unscathed. Steffi's rage shielded her family, but isolated her mother. Taylor's decision reinforced her heart, but shattered relationships. Daphne's stand exposed the truth, but jeopardized alliances. The bold and the beautiful world came alive, as it always did, with hearts crushed, secrets revealed, and the promise of more storms on the way. Relationships hung by a thread, and everyone waited to see which would crack first. The late afternoon light seeped through the Cliff House's wide windows, leaving long golden streaks on the polished floor. The water rolled ceaselessly outside, waves slamming with a steady beat that generally soothed anyone who stood there long enough. But now, the mood inside the house felt tense, even electric, as if something unavoidable was going to happen. Taylor stood near the living room sofa, her hands clutched uncomfortably. Across from her, DEacon shifted his weight from one foot to the other, visibly uncomfortable but attempting to hide it. "I know this looks strange," Taylor remarked quietly, her voice measured but nervous. DEacon let out a gentle breath. "Strange? Perhaps a little. But honestly, I've been in stranger situations." Taylor almost smiled, but the stiffness in her shoulders remained. "I just don't want anyone to get the wrong idea." Before DEacon could react, the front door flew open abruptly. Steffi stepped inside. She came to a halt immediately. Her gaze shifted from Taylor to DEacon and back again, perplexity gradually turning into distrust. "Mom," Steffi spoke slowly. Taylor stiffened. "Steffi, what is happening here?" Steffi inquired. The DEacon raised both hands slightly. "Don't look at me like I've broken in. I was invited." Steffi's gaze sharpened. "You were invited," she confirmed. Taylor took a step forward. "Steffi, please. It's not what you think." Steffi crossed her arms. "That's usually the line people use when they say exactly what I think." DEacon grinned uneasily. "Fair point." Taylor gave him a glance. Steffi took a few steps into the room, obviously trying to digest the sight of them together. "Mom," she asked, turning back to Taylor, "why are you meeting with DEacon?" Taylor paused. DEacon responded first. "We were talking," Steffi said, turning swiftly toward him. "About what?" "Life," he replied casually. "The universe." Steffi stared at him. "Try again." Taylor sighed. DEacon came to talk about Sheila. Steffi froze. The name alone changed the vibe quickly. Her jaw stiffened. "Sheila," she stated. DEacon nodded slowly. Steffi looked from one of them to the other and said, "Yeah. And you decided the best place to discuss it was in my living room?" "I didn't expect you to be home," Taylor said. Steffi breathed sharply. "That's not exactly reassuring." DEacon leaned against the back of a chair. "Well, whether you like it or not, Sheila is a part of my life." And Taylor wanted to comprehend a few things. Steffi's face stiffened. "Sheila tried to kill my family," she stated coldly. Taylor spoke slowly. "There's nothing to understand." "Steffi, I understand how much anguish she inflicted. Believe me, I do. But sometimes understanding someone's motives? Steffi cut in. Her voice increased. "Do you believe there is a motive to justify what she did?" Taylor shook her head. "No. I did not say that." DEacon scratched the back of his neck. "This is going great," he murmured. Steffi turned to face him again. And you are still protecting her. Deacon responded, I did not defend anyone. I'm just saying things aren't always black and white. For me they are, Steffi said with a laugh. Taylor walked between them, attempting to settle the tension. Steffi, please. Deacon isn't here to cause problems, Steffi said, laughing without humor. That is funny, because difficulties tend to follow him everywhere. Deacon raised an eyebrow but did not say anything. The hush that ensued was thick. Finally, Steffi spoke again, her voice calmer but still strained. Mom, do you really trust him? Taylor took a fleeting look at Deacon before answering. Steffi shook her head slowly. I'm trying to understand people instead of judging them. That sounds like a mistake. Deacon pushed himself out of the chair. Well, I should probably leave before this turns into a full interrogation, he said. Steffi did not stop him. He headed toward the door, but stopped before leaving. For what it's worth, he continued, looking back at Taylor. I appreciate you hearing me out. He then looked at Steffi. And believe it or not, I understand why you hate me. Steffi did not answer. The deacon left. The door quietly closed behind him. Steffi turned back to her mother. You can't seriously believe he's changed.